I didn't write yesterday. That hasn't happened to me in a long time. The actor who played Arnie Grape started talking to me again, so I've been a little distracted. He wants to be in a musical with me. That won't happen in this situation. I want to make Ukraine Cat Soldier with music by Green Day. Billy Joe could also be the American voice of Private Jules. I bet there's a lot of Ukrainian musicians who would love to work with Green Day too. If we're exporting our art to Ukraine as part of the humanitarian effort for the war, I want to send the most American band I can think of. Green Day putting politics into their lyrics? That's fucking American as fuck. We are an opinionated people by nature, by right. If you don't put politics into your art, you're a fucking coward and disrespecting the First Amendment. I think the First Amendment isn't just about how the government can't put you in jail for your words, a right which gets revoked anytime the cops feel like it. I believe it's a civic duty to call out politicians who are doing their jobs incorrectly. Like voting, you have to vote with your voice too. A lack of interest in politics should be considered disgusting. Kind of like a hoarder, actually. Like, do you not see the dangerous, chaotic mess we're in? Like, no, this is fine. Everything's fine. Fuck that. American idiot is timeless. MAGA is just a new word for redneck. People who think they're into politics, but really they're on a team. Faces painted, screaming in the stands like it's a football game. That's all this is to them, a game. These are people's lives we're dealing with. The ones they attack are defended in the song. Maybe I'm the faggot, America, because that word makes people uncomfortable. But why? Are they afraid of sexual assault? Because straight people do that more often. Gotta get in their faces like, what are you afraid of? Whatever threatens you. Why is anyone afraid of a bisexual man screaming a gay slur? Again, American as fuck. The only rational reaction is cheering and singing along. Bleep this, motherfuckers. Prince Harry wants to be in my Always Sunny episode. The one where I'm Frank's new wife and the gang doesn't trust her until their mommy issues kick in and they all end up going down on her. Harry thinks I'm his mommy. Okay, mommy says sell your expensive ass house and let's do a writing lab. There are some feeling words that man needs to express without the camera in his face. I didn't read the book, but I can tell there's more. The surface has been scratched. Could I get the Always Sunny gang to sober up for at least a week? As a creative experiment, see what kind of episodes come out? If weed and psilocybin were involved? I'm not going to let any of them actually go down on me, but it'll be funny to pretend. Dee would be the first because she wants to win. Dennis and Mac front and back respectively. And it seems like my character would be friends with Charlie, like they'd go on a black and white silent movie adventure together, and she says that he's the best at it. Then Prince Harry comes along and tries to steal me from Frank, but it turns out her father looks exactly like Frank, and that's why she loves Frank for who he is. I could be a recurring side character. You can't fuck up the dynamic of the gang by adding or subtracting anyone. I'd really lean into the character and make Danny DeVito seem attractive and sexy by like fawning all over him. And the gang is just baffled. Frank's new wife will be my favorite episode. The actor who played Arnie Grape will hate it, even though the sexual content isn't, quote, real. I doubt people will really jerk off to it, unlike the Wolf of Wall Street. We'll see. All this work I'm doing on my mental health, am I getting better? I think so. Most of my problems come from a lack of money. I walk around with my ukulele a lot more now, and the more I walk, the less anxious I am. The more followers I get, the more people I meet. The money gets spent on weed and laundry. It's not much. Sometimes the laundry doesn't get done. I have a blister on my foot from walking around in boots too much. They're cheap Doc Marten knockoffs. I doubt the real kind would hurt this much. Had to take off yesterday, probably today too, to heal and do my laundry while limping. I have a purpose beyond money. I kneel at the spot where River Phoenix died, hoping people will copy me and it becomes a meme. We don't need a statue. This is a proper memorial. Tour buses will drive by and see people kneeling, see the reverence for the dead and the heartless tragedy of him being thrown on the sidewalk to die. River's death advertises that club. Wouldn't be famous without him. Not a notable spot on a tour. No one in there was held accountable for poisoning River Phoenix. I've never been inside, and I'd certainly never take a drink there. I'm not afraid of being poisoned, but it's the principle of the thing. The same reason I don't want to go back to the Laugh Factory, because they let Tiffany Haddish drive home drunk. The difference between alcohol and legal weed is there's way more places to go and get drunk and then drive home. There's like a few places you can go and like smoke weed at like a restaurant or something. And even that I don't think is very safe. A car is a dangerous weapon when driven by the inebriated. I haven't had the money for a car in a few years, but I wouldn't drive while addicted to weed anymore. I've said it before and I'll keep saying it. Weed is too strong these days. There's no way to do the math on how high you'll get. It slows reaction time. You could kill someone. If I had the money, I'd make my own edibles all the time and hopefully quit vaping. It's not good for my lungs. Buying extra flour to make butter is only possible like once a month. It runs out. Smoking is always cheaper. I don't need extra money. I don't need much extra money. I used to work a full-time job and I could afford rent and weed. I know I can do it. I just need to get back to that point. I also know I can transition to edibles when I have a steady income. I don't know what else to do besides what I'm doing. Please tell me if you have any suggestions. I play the ukulele for money. Writing is my main thing, but I'd never be satisfied with any one thing. I am a writer, performer. My words are meant to be performed. Such as, Jesus fucking Christ, the Nicaraguan government is oppressing the Catholic Church? Like, how medieval is that? Because their bishop asked for justice for dead protesters in early elections. Suddenly the corrupt politicians are like, you're organizing a coup. That's some bullshit. I hope they form a coup now. That sounds like a movie in the making. The government is arresting priests and shutting down a Jesuit academy. Pope Francis is a Jesuit. They're very scholarly priests. They do the work and they know their stuff. The Jesuits are why a lot of the Bible survived the Middle Ages, because they kept writing that stuff down. Have you ever really looked at an illuminated manuscript? All the detail, the perfect calligraphy in Latin and vivid scenes from the content in the margins. It takes time to produce one. The time it takes to produce one page is gargantuan when you really consider the work that went into it. I can tell Pope Francis loves art and see that it brings people closer to God. How art can speak for people. The Nicaraguan priests are being oppressed for their words. As an American with protected free speech, I am appalled at the human rights violation. That's what the First Amendment is really about. The government can't imprison you for your words. I don't think Nicaragua has caught on to that yet, or the people in charge just don't give a fuck. Oppressing free speech is just tamping down a powder keg. It's gonna explode eventually. Pope Francis is on my side about how I should not have been imprisoned for my words. Yelling at a cop is not a crime. I was treated worse than a DUI for sitting on a sidewalk. Pigs, dirty pigs. I love Green Day so much. I'm going to talk about Green Day more. The actor who played Arnie Grape hates that statement. He said I'm embarrassing him. So I embarrassed him with a Romeo monologue instead. He was jealous I was covering Green Day songs so much, so I covered one of his. He loved it. I love being able to play both male and female Shakespeare parts. That's how it was meant to be, gender non-conforming. People wonder if I'm trans or non-binary because my appearance can be utilitarian and androgynous or stylistically punk rock. Nobody asked Billy Joe Armstrong if he's transgender because he wears makeup. Makeup has always been unisex. Alice Cooper wears dresses and makeup because it freaks people out. Makes them question their own ideas of gender and sexuality. That's rock and roll for you. Real rock stars challenge our ideas. Some stay the same no matter how much. Billy Joe changed the line, "I'm not a part of the redneck agenda," to "I'm not a part of the MAGA agenda," because these American idiots are still running rampant. Like, American Idiot should be Joe Biden's campaign song or something. Like, oh my God, we need to be listening to this on a loop so this guy doesn't become president again. The people who think wrestling is real vote. They vote for more idiots. Everyone with a brain is required to vote, goddammit. The American Dream is Killing Me is a really good song. I love the video. It's like a short zombie movie with Billy Joe doing his guitar solo on top of a car with like all the zombies reaching for him. Cool stuff. Black and white because that always makes it scarier. We're tearing each other apart and we don't need to be. Be a leader of zombies or one of the horde. Oh, I thought of something, by the way. You know what Gypsy Rose Blanchard could have done to let people know her mother was dead inside the house? Left the front door open. Someone would have investigated that day. It's also really sad that they could be missing for days and her mother's dead body laying there without anyone checking on them. That's one of the reasons I'm afraid to live alone with a pet who would eat my face before someone found my dead body. Gypsy Rose has a family who loves her. Her abuser kept her isolated because she enjoyed the attention and lived off the money. Gaslighted her own daughter into thinking she was dying for most of her life and didn't even know her real age. Fascinating, tragic story for sure, but I'm a little sickened by the attention she's enjoying while out of prison. Going shoe shopping for the first time, taking selfies, going to McDonald's, pictures of her smiling at cameras everywhere. If she had escaped her mother and told her story, her mother would still be in denial if she was still alive. She would never not believe Gypsy wasn't sick. She would always think she was sick. Her whole life was about taking care of a sick daughter, when she was the sick one. So very sick. People's minds can be so warped that they infect those around them with delusion and denial. Gypsy Rose could have stood up from that wheelchair and walked out the door from the moment she realized she was over 18. She was convinced she was sick. Her whole life was about being sick, whether she liked it or not. No one likes being sick, but she liked to make her mother happy. She didn't know lying was wrong. She thought she needed to lie to survive. I understand so much of this story. We can learn a lot about psychological abuse if we examine it. Gypsy Rose deserves attention for surviving abuse. There's no way to divide that from the murder. It's possible to sympathize with someone who did something so wrong. Speaking of which, y'all, don't freak out. I think I'm going to start my own religion. Belief in God is not a requirement for religions like Judaism, Scientology, the Satanic Temple. Even Pope Francis said that atheists can get into heaven. I'll create a religion that's an alternative to Scientology and just rip off everything they do, flip it around, and offer services on a sliding scale. You know what's so strange about the way to happiness? It didn't tell you how to do anything he's talking about the right way because you have to pay for that. It's basically a 79-page sales pitch. I'm going to write one called How to Be Nice, sales pitch for a religion. Religionology. Funny name. Through niceness and understanding, we can find happiness and harmony within ourselves and the world around us. Instead of making Scientology change their ways, I'm just going to knock them off. Like a Louis Vuitton handbag from Chinatown, except well made and even better than the original. This is going to make them so mad, but it's protected free speech, and if I get tax exempt status through actually creating a religion, they'll really hate that. Because Scientology sued the hell out of the IRS, like individual agents, not just the agency, until they relented and gave them tax exempt status. It was like a freaking holdup, basically, legal holdup. There was a lot of philosophical discussions about a cult having secretive practices you can only find when you're in too deep, but the Catholic Church has some secret practices too. I don't find much of a reason to find a clear line if people are ascribing beliefs I don't find to be true. I just hope they're not hurting anyone and putting everyone's tax dollars to good use. Ideally. Okay, so the tenets of religionology. 1, don't rape, murder, kidnap, torture, or cause wars. Those are all kind of the same thing. That's just the first one. 2, tell the truth whenever possible and don't lie out of selfishness. 3, don't steal from someone with less than you. 4, don't be mean. 5, express remorse when you've wronged someone. 6, make amends. 7, understand rather than judge. 8, take good care of yourself and those you're responsible for. 9, give to your community and the world around you. 10, be kind to the environment. 11, learn what sets your soul on fire. 12, practice until you impress yourself. 13, work to thrive, not just survive. 14, challenge authority whenever necessary. 15, prioritize your goals and boundaries. 16, communicate your feelings without hurting anyone. 17, teach. 18, create art. 19, check your facts. 20, breathe. 21, think carefully before you act. I think that's good. Oh, by the way, the building inspector put up another notice about another apartment, so people are taking cues. They really should have fixed the sink last January. If you like the channel so far, I haven't really figured out what people want from me on Patreon yet. So if you want to contribute to the channel, this is what people contribute when I'm playing ukulele on Sunset Boulevard. There's Venmo, imagination for sale, all in one word. That'd be super sweet. Thank you.